Okay, I'm re-recording this video because I just recorded my reaction to the Rewinding Cadence first playthrough test gameplay PV trailer, and it got hit on YouTube. The music's not allowed. So, we're going to go back and look at a few points rather than watch the entirety of it. I will leave a link down below so you guys can check out the entire video. But my main thought process from watching the actual trailer itself was a little bit underwhelming. But at the same time, there's definitely some positives, and the positives lie more in the combat, at least from the looks of what we've seen and what we've seen before. And that's going to be a massive thing for a lot of people, right? Because, of course, if the combat's good, then you've got a good core to your game. Other things can be improved over time. But I think one of my main criticisms from watching this so far is in regards to character design. We're looking at something that seems quite generic. It seems quite samey. It seems like something we've seen before. Now, that might not be a bad thing for a lot of people. It just doesn't stand out, right? Again, doing something safe isn't always bad. It just, in a space that's getting a lot of safe, it doesn't stand out, does it? It starts off, the trailer does, well, it looks like we initially start off with having this choice where we choose between either two of these characters. This character on the left already seems super annoying, this one that runs up to you, so I've got to say that, this character here, already don't like this character. I'm choosing the one on the right. But it seems like, I don't know what their connection is to you, if they're going to be like your Paimon or something, or potentially they're maybe a stand, because it seems like in the combat, you've kind of got like stands in this game. And it does advertise itself as a game where choice matters. But I think it has like a cycle of every 42 days, it resets or something like that. And you can actually like rewind things to make different decisions, I believe. Now, we've heard this all before in dev speak, right, where games talk about true choice. And this is, I'm not even specifically talking about gacha games here, because they never really advertise that. But games in general, very few of them really do genuinely have choice that has impact to the rest of the game. A lot of games shy away from it, where you can actually miss out on story parts, missions, quests, have people die in the game, and it's something you either have to go back to an old save or you just play without it, right? And considering this is a live service game, that's probably not going to be the case, right? You're probably going to be allowed to fix choices. So if there's real impact there, who knows? But it'd be cool if there is, right? So, looking at the actual gameplay itself, we saw this before where the character looks like they've got multiple different utility, where they can roll around on these like almost holographic wheels, almost like a holographic Segway. We've got that sort of sky surfboard that we've got. But overall, I'm a little bit disappointed in the actual look of everything in the game. I'll show you at the end as well. Like the male MC kind of looks like the male Rover as well. We've got another point in the gameplay here, or the video here, where we actually have a choice. So it seems like we can select whether, I think, we do something with a dish, this guy at the top, or whatever's going on at the bottom. But the character chooses the top left option. And we get a little D&D roll, which is actually kind of cool. I do like this, so there's options to fail these little interactions, if you will, right? These choices, which is kind of cool. I do like that. I think that's actually quite unique. And then dude sniffs the food and strips his clothes off, which is like, okay, all right, I guess the food must have been that good. This game definitely looks like it's got a quirky vibe to it, right? As you can see here, it's definitely going for a quirky vibe, which, you know what, I'm all here for, right? But as we go through, like, I'm just seeing more and more characters that, like, from a fidelity standpoint and model standpoint, look fine. But I'm just not seeing anything so far that stands out. There's one or two characters I'm like, okay, I kind of like the look of that one. This just looks a little bit weird, almost into a T-pose, but looks like it's trying to be fun and quirky, right? But yeah, in terms of characters, nothing massively stands out to me, personally. But one thing I will say, which we'll see a little bit towards the end, is the combat looks rather good from what we can see. And it looks very much like it's akin, or the closest thing we've probably got to in this space that's like Wuthering Waves, if that makes sense. Now, that can be a really good thing, right? Or it can potentially be a hindrance. We've got this character. She kind of looks like, what's the character out of Wuthering now? It's not Yuno, is it? It's the other chick. I forgot her name. But it can be like two things, right? It can be great because Wuthering has great combat, and if you can at least get on the level of Wuthering Waves or even potentially surpass it, you're doing really good there, because Wuthering Waves has insanely good combat. But if you don't quite live up to it, and it's not hitting the mark, but it's similar, and you've got a game that's so far from what I've seen, apart from like the dice roll and the choices and the ability to go to jail, I think you've got like a wanted level. It really doesn't stand out. And then if you put it next to Wuthering Waves, you're going to struggle, right? Because you've got a game that's got a locked-in audience, that's got a lot of high-quality aspects to it, and is doing really well, right? And as I say, does its combat incredibly well. So it's like this double-edged sword where being like it is a good thing because it's a good game, but, you know, are you always going to be sitting in its shadow? And I think that worries me a little bit about this game, because I've been very critical of games being very samey. Again, we can see the digital segue we've got there, and it's just showing off, like, you know, some more bits and pieces. As I said, I uploaded the video just literally, and it got hit with a YouTube copyright ID. So, yeah. It's no good for the music on this, so to anybody else who might react to this, just to let you know, you'll get hit as well. So I don't know, it's up to you. But we see some interesting I guess world building stuff here, showing off some stuff that's going on in the world. And we've got this system here, which I don't quite know what this is. I don't know if we're capturing that little thing there or we're trapping it. I'm not too sure. And then we've just got some different scenes we don't really have any context for, which is fine because it's a trailer. We don't need to know the entirety of the story of the game. This character looks kind of cool as well. And as I said, this is a game where you seem to have, like, stands in combat. That's actually looks really good there. Like, I like the look of this character. This is one of the characters I was saying, this is fire. I'm here for this, right? I like a design. And then we've got this sort of card system here. So when I look at this screams gear to me, because you've got stats and stuff down the side here. And then I don't know if this is our stands. I'm not too sure it's connected to those stands that are with us, because I think we can tag them in and we like chain abilities together with the stands, and then you can swap characters as well. I don't know if you can tag the off-field character stands in also. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm guessing these kind of work like gear. I'm not too sure, but they've got cool designs to them. We can see we've got an option to choose from here as well. So I'm not too sure if we build some sort of deck we can access potentially. You know, we've got a deck that we can put into a hand, and then we can access that hand on the fly. I'm not quite sure. And then we can see we've got some combat here, right? And if you take a look at this, when I see this, it makes me think of Wuthering Waves, right? Again, I don't know if it looks quite as good as Wuthering Waves, but out of these games, it looks more akin to it in terms of like what they're trying to go for. We can see we've got some QTEs as well in the combat. If you look here at the top right, this is just showing off a single operator team here. But you can see we've got our standout on the field now. I'm just calling it a stand because that's what they look like. So you see the character there, and then their stand, their spirit, whatever the frick it is, with them. And it seems like you kind of use those in abilities. So if you look down the bottom, I'm not too sure if that's tagging in the stand as well. Then we've got a standard character ability. We've got a dash. I'm not too sure what the T does. And then I think this is the ultimate, I'm going to assume, or something akin to that. And it seems like you activate it, and then I think over time it goes down. So it could be an ultimate, or it could be some sort of overcharge mode or something like that. I don't know what the rest of the stuff in the UI means, but I do find that somewhat interesting, if I'm honest. But again, when you're going up against Wuthering Waves kind of directly in terms of your combat, you're going to have to be good, right? And again, this looks fluid. It looks fast-paced. It looks reactive. I do like that there's some QTE elements in the combat as well. We've got some cool alt animations and skill animations here that look really dope. I actually quite like this, and we're switching to another character here. This is the one that reminds me of... guys, you're going to have to remind me now. I've obviously not been playing with her for a while. I forgot the name of this character, but she really looks like that character to me. And you can see here, she's got some blonde chick in with her this time, and she's down the bottom as well. So, yeah, So we can like tag them in and do different moves. Again, to me, when I look at this combat specifically, especially with the dodges, it looks very similar to Wuthering Waves. That definitely seems like what they're trying to go for here. And as I say, can be a real positive or potentially a big negative if you don't pull it off. Right now, we switch into where we're actually having a full team. So it seems like it's teams of threes, which is your maximum. And you can see each character has their stand with them, if you will. Now, as I say, I don't know if characters can change them out. I'm going to assume they're tied to a particular stand, right? And then you build the abilities up on top of them with these cards. At a guess, of course, I don't know much more than that. But yeah, the combat itself, I'm not going to lie, it looks okay, right? It does look okay. It looks like decent reaction-based action combat, should I say. We've got some interesting looking bosses here. You know, as I say, we've got some QTEs and some parry windows and such. And obviously we've got perfect dodges as well. You can see we've got our parries there as well. Big parry windows. We go into a QTE here, which allows us to knock them back. And then this looks cool. Like, this looks really cool, right? This character actually looks genuinely kind of dope, if I'm honest. But again, it's one of those things. If I looked at this in a vacuum, I'm like, damn, this looks actually kind of cool, right? Then I'll think of what it's going up against, and I'm like, is it doing enough to stand out on top of that? Now, it could come through with an amazing story, right? And an amazing world, and it's like, okay, that's enough to make people think, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. I'm definitely going to check this game out, right? But like, a big thing for me is a lot of these characters just don't look that interesting. And I think they're showing off kind of this rewinding thing here. We've rewinded it back. We're back to where we were at the start of the trailer, and then things end. But if you look here, like even the male MC, which I'm guessing who this is, kind of looks like the male Rover, right? So, again, I don't want to be like a party pooper with this game, right? Because I feel like recently, when it comes to a lot of the high budget gacha games that are coming out, I'm quite negative, right? But I want to add in there that I felt a similar way about Silver Palace, right? And then I played it, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by Silver Palace. Now, the combat definitely needs work, but I enjoyed it more than what I thought I was going to. Now, as I say, it definitely needs a lot of work, but for a baseline, I'm like, okay, I can see what they're doing, and I think I could get down with this, even though it's like, it has a rotation system to it. It feels more like a brawler, though. And of course, I think the environmental design and the exploration's really, really good in that game. And it seems like we've got a genuinely interesting MC. But that game has, I think, quite a standout visual style to it, where it's going with the Victorian steampunk fantasy sort of look. It's not a unique look, right? But it just kind of stands out within the gacha space, within this space. This, at the moment, really doesn't look like it stands out. Now, of course, we don't know exactly the systems. The rewinding system could be interesting. This D&D system, this dice roll system could actually be interesting. And this actual advertisement choice seems to matter. Could be interesting, but how much does it really matter if you can just go back and change it? Because I'm going to assume, with it being a live service game, which I'm 99% sure it is, right? I'm just going to throw that out there. You're going to be able to kind of go back and rewrite things, right? Hence the name and stuff, because it's not a live service game where you can just have a save file, you totally destroy your game, right? Like, and then you can just load up and go again. You've cut out a really cool mission that you want to go back and do. You can go back and do it, right? You end up killing somebody that you kind of didn't want to kill. You can go back and make sure you didn't kill them. Where with a live service game, you kind of don't have that option, but I suppose you can do it in a pseudo way, come back and then go a different path, which I think could offer some fun replayability in approaching things differently. And maybe they could have some sort of limit to when you can rewind. So even though you can go back, you're limited, and it's like, well, you're going to have to wait now to go back and do that. But I don't know how enjoyable people find that. I don't know. But as I say, there's a couple of things here that look interesting in terms of gameplay systems. But when I just look at it, it doesn't look bad. I've got to be honest. It doesn't look bad, right? but it's not doing anything that looks like it stands out for me personally. The combat, as I say, though, does look like cool combat. And I think, looking at this, correct me if I'm wrong, if you play Wuthering Waves as well and you enjoy it, because I don't play it anymore, right? But I do really enjoy the combat. This looks like pretty decent combat to me, if I'm honest. And I think if you enjoy WoW, I would imagine most people would enjoy this as well. One good thing as well is apparently, I don't know how true this is, I've heard it through the grapevine, that this is potentially running on Unity. So we could see it performing really well, which is always a positive, because a lot of Unreal games recently just ain't running that well, are they? So, but I don't know about that. I've got no evidence. I haven't really seen anything official, but I've just heard that from a few people. So it could run really good, but who knows? But yeah, overall, I think I'm a little bit worried about this personally. I'm going to give it a go, and I hope I am totally wrong about all of my worries. I don't want games to be bad, despite what people might think. I actually want games to be good. Even the games I don't necessarily like, I want them to be good for the people who enjoy them, right? But I'm a little bit worried that this isn't doing enough beyond the combat and some of those systems. We need to see more to stand out, right? The characters look okay. There's nothing so far in any of those characters where I'm like, wow, okay, that one really stands out, apart from characters that kind of look like characters in other games, and they look better in the other games as well, specifically Wuthering Waves, if I'm honest. I think NTE had some of these issues all right, but I'm still looking forward to NTE, but I think NTE's setting does enough to separate itself for me. I don't know if this does. Am I being too doom poster here though, guys? I'd love to know. Let me know down below. What do you think of the combat as well? Because to me, it genuinely does seem the most similar to Wuthering Waves. But again, could be a really good thing if they pull it off. If they don't, it could really let the game down, couldn't it? I think it's a bit of a risk to try and go head on with Wuthering Waves. Not saying that's how they see it, but that's how it looks, at least in that regard. But yeah, guys, I'd love to know what you think down below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you on the next one. Ta-da.